Hey, Eagle fans! Your Statesboro Walmart is your one-stop shop for all your Georgia Southern football and game day needs. Pick up your GSU sports gear here. We have t-shirts, hats, tote bags, koozies, stadium bleacher seats, car spirit flags, wall pennants, beads, and more right here at the best prices in town. Also, don't forget we can handle all of your tailgating needs with our great food trays, baked goods, and fresh, high-quality meat, seafood, and chicken.
Walmart. Save money. Live better. Walmart.
And welcome inside the Eagles Nest. I'm your host Josh Aubrey, being joined as always by the Georgia Southern beat writer and sports editor for the Statesboro Herald, Mike Anthony. And Mike, we knew going in last week that Boone, North Carolina is not a place that's been real kind to the Eagles in the past. In fact, going in, I believe they were 4-9 and now 4-10 overall at Boone. And unfortunately, it was a game we've eerily reminiscent of some others in the past where Georgia Southern marches down, opening drive looks great, App State answers with a field goal, and then Georgia Southern's offense kind of from then on struggled mightily, and a lot of that had to do with App State and a very good defense and a great defense against the run. Your thoughts on the trip to Boone and the loss, first ever for Georgia Southern as a member of the Sun Belt?
Well, you really have to tip your cap to Appalachian State. They came in with one of the better defenses in the country. They showed exactly why. Georgia Southern, a couple of big plays on that first drive, but after that, whatever adjustments had to be made, App made them, and from that point, they seemed to be a step or two ahead of the Eagles in every facet of the game. The offense for the Mountaineers, very balanced, over 200 yards rushing, over 200 yards passing. The same couldn't be said for Georgia Southern. When that running game started to get gummed up, they tried to take to the air, but once again, the passing game just not there for Georgia Southern. They got one-dimensional. Against a defense that good, you're just not going to be able to survive doing the same one or two things over and over. And the Eagles learned the hard way. And you mentioned their first ever loss in the Sun Belt. Not a total loss. I think that this stings probably a little more than it should, just because it's a rival, just because that streak was ongoing. But Georgia Southern, I think, will bounce back. Probably won't see too many defenses as good as that one the rest of the way.
Reasons to be concerned with the offense right now, or is it just a bad day on the road at Boone?
I think you can probably put a lot of the eggs in the bad day basket. The offensive line, a lot of it had to do with the App State defensive line, but that offensive line, as good as they've looked since that West Virginia game, they've gelled, they've really grown together as a unit, not quite able to have their way, not pushing anybody around. Those inside runs that open up and spring big runs for Georgia Southern week in and week out, those just never develop. Georgia Southern not quite able to get the edge, a lot of speed on the App defense. So I would put it maybe an 80-20. A lot of that was just App being a little bit better. Not to say that they would be just as good if they played again next week, but with the game plan that Georgia Southern took up to Boone, it wasn't a winning one, and App made sure of it.
All right, well, obviously, App kind of stacked the box a bit against the Eagles and tried to force them to pass, and you mentioned they struggled. Do you think we're going to see more of that this week? You have Texas State coming in, a team that Georgia Southern had gone out to a big lead and kind of let them get back in it last year, and a team that looks like they can put up some points if you look at their scores over the past few games.
Well, Texas State, they had a great defense last year, some really good seniors. One of them drafted into the NFL. This year, not so much, especially against a run. However, Georgia Southern, I think, needs to kind of press the issue a little bit, try to pass when you go up against a team like Georgia, or even some of the tougher games left on the Sun Belt schedule with Troy with the better defense this year. They're just going to have to be able to move the chains at some point by throwing the ball. They had one good passing first down completion, a 3rd and 19, I believe it was, at Appalachian State, but after that, they couldn't get separation. When the separation was there, the accuracy wasn't. So I think against Texas State, you'll continue to see the 10 to 15 passes that Coach Fritz has harped on. It's just a matter of if they can get the open receiver, and when it's there, if either Fabian Upshaw or Kevin Ellison can hit the guy.
All right, well, we had a chance to talk with head coach Willie Fritz and some of the players about their Thursday night matchup at home against Texas State.
We got to bounce back. We got to put that game in the past. We just got to move on. Texas State's a very good team, and that's what our main focus is on.
Playing back-to-back Thursdays, is that a good thing? You feel like you guys are kind of ready for a week like that?
Oh, it's a very good thing. You know, you wanna get that nasty taste out of your mouth, so you come back, you're on live TV again, just out in Paulson Stadium. You know, we just can't wait. You know, we're gonna execute what we got to do and just move on.
You feel like you guys are offense sputtered a little bit in the game. You guys feel like that was just a one-time thing, or are you working on some things to make what happened last Thursday maybe not happen?
Schematically, you know, we have got a few more scheme up plays, but, you know, we're just going to keep doing what we do. You know, we just had a bad game, and, you know, we're just going to get back to what we do and just running the football and throwing it around a little bit.
Texas State last week put up 50 points. You guys may end up having to be in a track meet. You feel comfortable with that if you have to put up some points?
Oh, yeah. You know, we love scoring, so, you know, that's our plan. Score as many times as we can and prevent them scoring. But, you know, we're really excited. You know, like I said, Thursday night game on ESPN, so we just can't wait.
It was a tough loss, you know, to App State up there at their place. But, you know, it's part of the game. You got to learn how to take a loss and move on. You know, it's always another game next week. So, you know, as a team, we had to get that nasty taste out of our mouth and go ahead and prepare for Texas State.
Right, you got back-to-back Thursday nights. Is that a good thing because you guys played last Thursday and kind of used to the?
Yeah, well, having back-to-back Thursday night games really helped us a lot. You know, it gives us that time to prepare like we normally do for Saturday game and stuff like that. So I feel like, you know, as far as this week going right now, we're getting better. You know, just trying to put away that loss to the App State and prepare for Texas State.
Texas State put up a lot of points last week. I know that's something that, you know, when you look at a defense, you're like, okay, we know we got to be ready for this. What do you see about Texas State?
Well, you know, Texas State, they try to run the ball a little bit. They do a little bit of passing. The quarterback actually a pretty good player. So, you know, we're not putting up a lot of points against a good South Alabama team. You have to respect that and, you know, have to really focus in on our keys and our job for this week.
Yeah, we had a good workout today. We practiced yesterday, which is not normal for us. We don't work out on Sundays, but we took Friday and Saturday off. I had a decent workout Sunday, had a real good one today. So, you know, it's unfortunate. You want to win every game, you know, but you know, you can't sit there and dwell on a loss or a victory for too long, or you're going to not be ready for the next opponent. So we've dropped it, and we're on to Texas State and getting better and playing better.
Back-to-back Thursday games, is it easier to prepare since you did that last week?
Yeah, I think you get a little bit more of a full week. Because of our travel last week, I felt it was important to take a couple days off. We didn't get back until about 6 in the morning Friday, you know, and long bus ride and those kind of different things. So, you know, I thought we, you know, have a good plan with preparation as far as these Thursday games.
Texas State coming in, put up a lot of points last week. Your thoughts on playing them? Last time you went to their place, had a comfortable lead, and then they kind of came back on you.
They're good, you know. They do a lot of run-pass option where, you know, you're not sure what they're going to do, and they're not sure until they read either a linebacker or a safety or a corner, and really dangerous, you know. If you're not doing a great job of with your eyes, you know, they're going to get an easy score on you. And they also, you know, defensively are really tough. They'll run some 3-man and 4-man front. They'll change it every other down. So we got to be on top of our game, you know, offensively, and to be able to identify fronts.
Speaking of being on top of your game offensively, it looked like you guys struggled a little bit offensively. Was that just a bad game, or is there some things scheme-wise that you need to work on?
No, you know, we did struggle, and there's a combination of a lot of things. Number one, they're good. Number two, you know, we were didn't identify, you know, dive key, pitch key. Sometimes we gave when we should have pitched. Sometimes we blocked the wrong guy. You know, we blocked the guy that we shouldn't have blocked. So there's a lot of mistakes that happened, and you know, we got to get those things corrected.
It's 2015 model sell-off at Franklin Toyota. Now is your best time to buy because every 2015 model must be sold.
At Franklin Toyota, save up to $3,500 off new RAV4s or get 0 APR for 60 months.
Find it today at Franklin Toyota in Statesboro.
Well, Mike, it's now that time for us to kind of go over and look at our crystal ball and see what we see. The odds makers have Georgia Southern as a 20-point favorite. A little hard to believe. When I looked at that, I thought it was going to be closer to maybe 2 touchdowns at the most. back-to-back Thursday nights might actually help Georgia Southern in the preparation side of things. Back home's definitely going to help. Your thoughts on the game coming up Thursday night?
I think that you're going to see a rejuvenated Georgia Southern team, maybe playing with a bit of a chip on its shoulder. Sometimes you forget what it feels like to lose, and no one likes to take a whooping, but they did, and sometimes that can relight the fire. I think you see an Eagles team come out here fired up, ready to play. I think they take a big lead and don't let it get as close as last year. However, this Texas State team, great young quarterback, a very much improved offense. I think that they stay sort of on the periphery of being in the game throughout most of the game. I think Georgia Southern might even get it to 20 points at some point during this game, but a little too much offense. The Eagle defense still a little bit thin, a little bit hurting. I like Georgia Southern to win, but I don't know if they've got a 20-point win in them.
I see it being just at it, Mike. I think it's going to be about a 38 to 17-point game. Georgia Southern winning by about 21, maybe just sneaking past for the odds makers there. Before we go, let's talk a little bit about some other sports going on around town for the Georgia Southern Eagles, volleyball and both the men's and women's soccer teams. How are things going right now?
Well, volleyball heading down the stretch. They've got 4 matches left, really vital ones. Right now, they currently sit in 8th place, 11 teams in the conference, and it works the same as it does for men's and women's basketball. Only the top 8 are going to get into that 8-team tournament, which is being held at Hanner Fieldhouse. I know that the Eagles don't want to watch 8 other teams come into town and be on the sidelines for their own conference tournament. Didn't do themselves any favors last weekend, getting swept by Appalachian State, and UT Arlington didn't take a game in either of those matches. But 4 left. They're currently in 8th place. If they can win, I would say 2 of them, they've got to feel pretty good about their chances.
As for the soccer teams, the men and women, how are they doing right now? And I guess their tournaments are coming up pretty soon.
The men's team also headed down the stretch. They head off to New Jersey Institute of Technology, because you think Sunbelt when you think
of course
NJIT. They've got a conference matchup this weekend. They'll play another game up in New York, a non-conference match, before heading home to take on Georgia State. Right now, tied with Georgia State for 2nd place. Only 5 teams get into that tournament. I think it's safe to say that they're in there, but you don't have to play a play-in game if you're 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. So winning at least one of those final 2 conference matchups, very important for the Eagles. As for the women's team, they're already done with regular season play. They finished on a sour note. They started 3-1-1 in conference play, dropped each of their last 4. That sent them tumbling. They're going to make the tournament, but it now depends on how University of Louisiana Lafayette, how they finish up. They could end up as a 7 seed or an 8 seed. So in the tournament that starts up at Boone next week, but either way, it's going to be a tough first game for the Eagles.
At least a little better situation there as the top 8 as opposed to maybe the top 5. That'll wrap things up for now. For Mike Anthony, I'm Josh Aubrey. We thank you for joining us and hope to see you again next week.